Guru Goranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Jiu Ki Jai. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our regular Wednesday evening talk from the East London Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, broadcast as usual from my home. First of all, please forgive me. Perhaps I don't know if today's talk will be as long as normal. This week I just started back at work, and it's been quite exhausting. So I haven't been home from work long, just enough time to get ready for this evening's talk. I'm very tired, so but I didn't want to not have the talk this evening. The first thing I want to mention is last week we mentioned about Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Disappearance Day Festival, which is this Monday coming, the 20th of July. After reviewing the government guidelines for religious dwellings or religious groups or religious buildings, and discussed with the devotees, it is regretful that we have to say that at Green Street we cannot safely hold a public festival, and we may also have to think about what we will do for Janmashtami, which is also fast approaching. The government guidelines, of course, may change by then, but as things are at present, we may have to just enforce a one in, one out darshan policy on Janmashtami Day, 10 minutes per person or per group, and keep that rotating throughout the day. But nearer the time, I'll let you know more. As I say, the government guidelines change all the time. But as for Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Disappearance Festival, we won't be opening the doors to the public for a full festival. You may still come for darshan, but the same rules apply as before. You must wear a mask, you must not spend more than 10 minutes in the temple room, and you must observe social distancing at all times. So yeah, my apologies for that, but we will have to follow the government guidelines, whatever we may think about them or the current situation. We want everyone to be safe. We want all of our visitors to be safe, all the devotees to be safe, and we also want to protect ourselves and the residents of the temple. And also we need to adhere to the law to make sure that our temple doesn't become the subject of any complaints or unwanted inspections or whatever that may end up in fines or closure or things like that. So we have to follow the government guidelines, not just to follow the law, but to make sure that everybody's safe in this current situation. Although the restrictions have been reduced, as we all know, we mustn't think that the situation is over now and that everything goes back to normal. As I'm sure you're aware, from Monday, everyone has to wear a safe covering in going into a shop. So I'm sure that'll probably become the norm as well in places of worship also. Anyway, enough of that for this evening. I wanted to speak today about a subject that Guru Maharaj has often touched on, elaborated on, and spoken in great depth about, and that is how we should try to view the environment. First of all, we need to understand, what does it mean, the environment? So Albert Einstein's definition of the environment is anything that isn't you. Anything that isn't you is your environment. So all the people that aren't you, all the places that aren't you, everything that exists that isn't you is the environment. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj often said the environment is our friend, and everything coming from the environment is meant to help us. One of the main obstacles to progress in spiritual life is thinking that the environment is against us, thinking that people, circumstances, elements, and so many other things are out to get us, if you like, or they are to blame for our misfortune. But as Guru Maharaj teaches us, as is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, we are the cause of our own suffering in this material world, none to blame but ourselves. So the first step in understanding the environment is friendly to us is acceptance of that. Acceptance that whatever comes to us is a result of our own actions, and therefore we're not to quarrel with that. Srila Guru Maharaj used to use the phrase, coin the phrase, an English phrase, which I'm sure we all know well, that a bad workman quarrels with his tools. So in other words, if they do a bad job, because they're a bad workman, they'll say, "Oh, my tools weren't up to it, weren't good enough." I made this cabinet. I'm a carpenter. I made this cabinet, and it's complete rubbish. And it's not because I'm a bad carpenter. It's because my tools, weren't working properly. My saw was blunt, or my chisels were, whatever it was. He'd blame the tools rather than blaming oneself for the result. So, and Guru Maharaj took that one stage further, and he changed that a little bit to say, a bad workman quarrels with his stools. And what he meant by that was that that when whatever we take within ourselves, like as food, eventually and ultimately, the waste from that will come out, will produce stools, and so we shouldn't therefore blame the stools. We know it is not a pleasant thing, but stool will come. But we shouldn't think, "Oh my God, why is this stool coming?" It's because what you did. You ate something, and the result of that is stool will come. So in the same way, when you do something and the result comes to you, no one to blame but yourself. And sometimes that's a bitter pill for us to swallow. The materialist is always thinking he or she or this or that or them, or they are to blame for my misfortune. That's why we see there's so much quarrel in this Kali age, which is the age of quarrel. We see so many problems where people are thinking, this is happening to me because of him, because of her, because of this, because of that. But nobody wants to admit, no, this is happening to me because what I have done. So we live in a blame culture. We see that even lawyers, they advertise, where there's blame, there's a claim. Where there's blame, there's a claim. So you can make a claim against whoever it was that is to blame. And particularly our cousins in the United States, it's very much a blame culture. As they say, the lawyers are like ambulance chasers there. Who can we sue for this? Who can we blame for this? So it's a mindset, a particular kind of mindset. We're always looking to blame others for our misfortune. We see that in politics. People, they say, this group of people are to blame, why you haven't got a job, why you haven't got any money, why your life isn't very good. It's that because of this person or that policy or this group or whatever it is, they're to blame. Not you're to blame. But the truth is, you're to blame, or I'm to blame for my own situation, no one else. And the first step in understanding our situation is to accept that and not to resist that. So there's a verse that Guru Maharaj was always very fond of from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He used to recite this verse in so many situations. Taktenu kampam shushamikshmanu bunjane vatma kritam vipakam ridvagva pubir vidanam namaste jiveta jo mukti pade sa dayabak. So this is spoken by Lord Brahma, and basically he's saying that whatever comes to us, if we just tolerate that and go on without complaint, but rather just utilize our mind, our body, our deeds, everything in the service of Lord Krishna, then that will make us eligible to become real devotees of the Lord. When we accept whatever is coming in front of us, whatever the environment throws at us, when we accept that, and in spite of that, we continue with our practices of devotion, with faith, then we become eligible for real devotion, true devotion. Because we're not to quarrel with the environment, because the environment is given to us as a gift from the Lord himself. All of these things have come to give us something positive. Is not the action or the circumstance which is negative to us, but only our response to it which causes negativity. So whatever comes, if we can see, as Guru Maharaj says, if we can see the smiling face of the Lord behind that, then we will see everything as a blessing. If we know, and we preach this, we espouse this, that our faith is that not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. So then how can anything come to us which the Lord has not sanctioned? That is not possible. So if the Lord has sanctioned it, and remember, the Lord isn't just an impersonal absolute, a mathematical theorem that gives, like an equation, x plus y equals z or z. It is not like that. The Lord is a person, and that person is all good and all merciful and all kind, and he has created us to live a life of joy and bliss eternally with him, not just to suffer in this material world. So if we understand that, and we understand that within Krishna's nature there isn't even an iota of vindictiveness, then we can see that everything that comes to us is a gift and a grace from the Lord. Of course, it's easy to say that when we're in the midst of something traumatic or something difficult. Then it's very difficult for us to realize that when that thing is causing us some pain or some difficulty, it is hard for us to be able to say, oh, this is the grace of the Lord. But if we are able to do that, if we're able to tolerate whatever comes to us and know that it is the Lord's will, then very soon we will become free from that. It's only when we fight and we struggle against it and make opposition to it that we cause more difficulty within ourselves, like the fly caught in the spider's web. When a fly gets caught in the spider's web, it struggles to free itself, and the more that it struggles, the more it gets bound up in that web. So similarly, the more we struggle against the will of the Lord, the grace of the Lord, the more we become bound up in this samsara, this repeated birth and death and everything that goes along with that. So how to try to see everything as the grace of the Lord? Well, one very good advice that Srila Govinda Maharaj always gave us was this: wait and see. Wait and see. So that means, don't make a knee-jerk reaction to anything. Try not to do that. Try and step back, take a deep breath, count to 10, whatever you need to do, and try to detach yourself from the situation and look at it in an objective way. And Srila Gurudev would say, and wait and see what will be the outcome. You know, we're reminded of Lord Jesus in the Garden of Bethsemane, I forget. But you know, he goes to pray the night before he's taken to be crucified, and he knows is coming. He knows that Judas Iscariot is going to betray him. He knows that he's going to be taken, found guilty, and crucified. And so in that, you know, what many Christian people describe as the dark night of the soul, he prays to the Lord, if it's possible, please take this cup from me, Father. He prays to the Lord. In other words, let this go. I don't want this, you know, let this go to somebody else. This kind of sacrifice, I'm not really up for it, you know. If it's possible, let it pass to someone else. But then on deeper reflection, he gets his strength, and he says, no, as your will, not as my will. So this is an act of surrender to the will of the Lord, and we should have confidence that whatever happens, the Lord has made some arrangement that we may be unable to see. And we may never be able to understand or see how that is. And this is perhaps what inspired Lord Brahma to make this statement to Lord Krishna. When he's praying to Lord Krishna after the whole Brahma Vimoha Leela, where Lord Brahma steals the cows and the cowherd boys and puts them in a cave, seals them up in a cave in a sleep, mystical sleep, but after 1 year he returns and he finds Krishna playing with the same cowherd boys and the same cows, and unbeknownst to him, they're all expansions of the Lord has expanded into all of his cows and calves and all of his own friends. He's become all of them, and playing just as before. And when Lord Brahma comes, he's totally bewildered. Did I do what? I can't understand. Who is this boy? I can't understand this. And he's completely bewildered by that until finally his pride is curbed and he comes before the Lord to pray. One of the things he says is, those who say they know you, they understand you, they can say whatever they like, but as far as I'm concerned, I know I don't know anything at all about who you are. And let that be so. Let it be so that I cannot understand the mystery of who you are, my Lord. But at least now I have come to understand that you are my Lord, and that my situation is that I am always your servant and you are always my master, and I bow down to you. So, and those who endure the outcome of their own karma that comes to them in whatever way you see fit, if they endure that, but at the same time utilize all of their time, all of their energy, all of their thought, words and deed, if they utilize all of that for your service, for your worship, for your glorification, then truly they become eligible to become your unalloyed devotees. And after all, that's what we aspire to, isn't it? We aspire to unalloyed devotion. We may be far away from that, but we don't want to remain in some kind of business situation with Lord Krishna. We don't want to remain trying to bargain with Lord Krishna. Okay, if I do this for you, then you can do that for me. And, you know, it's an untenable position. Why would the Lord even entertain such a thing? What do we have that he wants? Nothing. He's fully independent, fully self-satisfied. There's nothing that we have that he wants except love. And he has given us that capacity to love. With amongst all the other things that we may or may not be, all of the attributes that we may possess and all of the attributes that we may lack, all of the false identity that we have built up around ourselves, in the midst of all of that, buried in every one of us, and not buried that deeply actually, but known to everyone, is the capacity for us to give love, and the capacity and necessity to be loved. It is the very essence of who we are. We are beings that wish to love and be loved. Only we try to love and be loved by those who are in the same situation as us, the same type of illusion that we're in, they're also in. We don't know who we are, they don't know who they are. But still, we try to enter into some loving relationship with them. Well, our experience tells us that the odds of us becoming satisfied by that is very small. Still, we don't give up on the prospect of love, because it's like hardwired within us. We want love and we want to give love, and we have that within us. Everyone, whoever you may be, who even the most evil despot that may live in this world, they have the capacity to love and the necessity to be loved. It's just part of who we are. So Krishna created us for that reason. He created us with free will. So because love presupposes free will, love is given freely and reciprocated freely. It is not something that can be forced or coerced from another. So, incumbent with that free will is the capacity for love, both to give and to receive. And that love can only be reposed properly in Lord Krishna, because he is the creator, and he has created us for that purpose, to enjoy, exchange and reciprocate love with him. And when we enter into a loving relationship with him, then naturally we are able to extend that love to all of his creation in a real way, not just in a theoretical way or a philosophical way, but in a real and substantial way. And any other attempt at loving some portion of the creation, however small or however big that may be, is doomed to failure, because if it is not connected with the center and the origin of everything, which is Lord Krishna himself. So then, if the Lord of love, who has created us for a life of love with him, if he sends some trouble to us, then we should try to see in what way is Krishna blessing us. We should try to see all of that as a blessing. Excuse me. Because it is his will. Because it is his very nature. His very nature is that he is the Lord of love. He is Rasaraj, Akila Rasamrita Murti. That means he's the embodiment of all kinds of rasa. And rasa means loving exchanges, loving emotions. Spiritual love. Spiritual love. The Greeks, they understood that spiritual love and material love are two different things. In other words, carnal love that we experience between men and women in this material world, or even men and men and women, that kind of carnal love is maybe one type of love. You can say love with a small l. But love between man and God is a different category altogether. They call that agape in Greek. Agape means God's love for man and how he reciprocates with us as jiva souls. So that kind of love is love with a capital L. And that kind of love will never betray us, will never disappoint us, will never betray us, will never desert us. That kind of love is the eternal love and the eternal raison d'etre of existence. The reason that Krishna exists and the reason that we exist also. So, in this material world we are running here and there, and always we are complaining about our environment and thinking that if I change this about my environment, or if I change that about my environment, then my life would be more fulfilled, or my life would be better. People say that all the time, don't they? Follow your dreams, whatever your dream may be. Don't live any life that doesn't fulfill your dreams. But I say, not I say, but our gurus, the acharyas of our line, they say, don't follow your dream, because your dream is maya, your dream is an illusion. That is not reality. Try to understand what is reality and connect with that. And dreams, leave the dreams to the night. When we sleep, we dream so many nonsense things. But when we wake up, some people, they keep a dream journal, don't they? They want to know what everything means. And maybe that can be helpful in some way to resolve issues that are going on within our subconscious, maybe. But we shouldn't put too much stock in dreams, whether they're dreams that we have at night or whether they're dreams that we have about our future, about our lives. Because they're dreams, they're not reality. We have to connect with the reality. And we have to remember that it isn't harsh reality, as people always try to tell us, the harsh reality of life. It is reality, the beautiful. This is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's original conception. Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. So reality is beautiful. Reality is beauty himself. Krishna is beauty himself. Once Guru Maharaj said, when he came to speak with us in the morning, he used to give a talk in the morning, and one time he came in a very happy mood and he said, reality is dancing. What do you think about that? So this is how Guru Maharaj views reality. Reality is dancing. Reality is beautiful. And reality is. So, it's not that we should just accept the reality of this material world, but rather we should try to see behind the screen, see what is controlling the environment, see what makes up the reality of this material world. And what is real? Bhagavad Gita gives us the answer to that. That which the sages have concluded, that which has no eternal existence doesn't really exist. That which is subject to be born and die in this material world, here today and gone tomorrow, then the wise conclude that doesn't really exist, because it's temporary. We don't say that it's all, just a figment of our imagination, but it's not real in the sense that it's permanent. The sages have said, they have come to the conclusion that which never dies, that which is immortal, that is reality. and nothing else. Everything else that is subject to change in this material world, subject to birth, to growth, to deterioration, and finally to death or dissipation, that is not real. That is only a temporary phenomenon. So this is the phenomenal world. Here today, gone tomorrow. What we put our faith in as being concrete and real will one day be swept away by the ocean. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day everything will become dust. We know that. Empires are no longer there, are they? Once upon a time, the Roman Empire was the greatest empire in the world. Now there's nothing. Just some statues, remnants of that. Now the United States of America is the new Rome, you can say. Guru Maharaj said, shouting and making a big noise all over the world. We can say that that's the new Roman Empire. But how long will that last? In 100 or a few hundred years from now, maybe it will be completely forgotten. Once upon a time, the British Empire, that was considered to be the greatest empire. The sun never sets on the British Empire. We went out and conquered the world with the clever use of flags. I name this country such and such in the name of the king by planting this flag. Because no one else is here. It belongs to us now, to Britain. And the local people would say, well, we're here, what about us? Have you got a flag? No. Well then, those are the rules, you've got to have a flag. Anyway, I jest, but so yeah, what happened to the British Empire? Now it's just a tiny little country that's decided to become independent of Europe, and everyone's laughing at us. This is the nature of this world. Kings become paupers. Saddam Hussein, with his great empire, of all his, so many palaces and so much opulence and so much wealth, and, and finally he ended up in a hole in the ground, hiding in a hole in the ground, literally. So this is the nature of this material world. Nothing is forever. Nothing at all. So, as Lord Jesus said, we should not, do not store your wealth where moth and rust will corrupt it, but rather store your fortune in the house of the Lord. Now this is our formula for success. Our formula for connecting with reality is to utilize everything that we have by investing it in the house of the Lord. Invest everything, all of your energy, all of your wealth, all of your time, or your family, your possessions, everything. Try to utilize that for your Lord. And this way you will connect with the plane of reality. The plane of reality, even as you move and live within this plane of this material world, which is subject to decay. Still, as you move and live in this material world of action and reaction, you can be above that if you connect everything with your Lord, with your Master, with the divine, loving Lord, Sri Krishna. If you can connect with him in any way, and that begins when we accept that whatever is coming to us is by the grace of the Lord. In other words, whatever my situation is, it's the best situation that I am meant to be in. And if we can surrender to that and try to understand that Krishna wants to teach us something here, then we can very easily attain peace in life. We are always troubled because we're always making schemes for something other than Krishna. oh, this situation has come up, I'll make some scheme, some plan to get out of that, to manipulate the environment in such a way that I'll come out on top. It doesn't usually work out, because where we are now, that is where we're meant to be. And what we are now, what Krishna has put in front of us, that is for our benefit. That is for our education. So Srila Govinda Maharaj's advice, wait and see. Whatever comes to you, don't just react. Don't just react. And particularly one should never react in anger. One should never react and make a decision when one is feeling some temporary joy from this material world either. But rather, in every situation, we should try to step back and wait and see. Not make any quick decision, knee-jerk reaction. Contemplate, meditate, and try to understand what is happening. We may not be able to understand what is happening, but if we are able to understand with our faith that it is the Lord who has placed this before me for my benefit, and not for any type of punishment or not for any type of vindictiveness, but for my ultimate benefit, then we will progress and we can move on, rather than trying to oppose everything that comes in front of us. This idea that the grass is always greener on the other side, we should remember this, that is an illusion. The grass is not greener on the other side, it only looks that way. And once we're there, then we understand that, oh, we didn't want that anyway. That wasn't what I thought it was going to be anyway. So, try to understand what the Lord wants from us. And the best way to do that is to go on with our lives in such a way that they are always Krishna-centered, that they are always Guru-centered, that they're always in connection with the truth. And the absolute truth, not any relative truth, but the absolute truth. And the absolute truth, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj has told us, is our friend. The absolute is our friend. Krishna says in the Gita, I am the controller, the creator, the controller, and the origin of everything. Everything is within me, and at the same time, nothing is within me. But still, I am sympathetic to you. I am a friend to you, your best friend. And if we can understand that and submit to that, yes, my friend, Krishna, please try to show me what it is that I'm meant to learn by this situation. Then very quickly we'll be free from the action and reaction of this material world, and we'll find ourselves in a higher environment, in a higher plane of life, awake to another plane of life, although we may still walk, live and breathe within this material world. We may be, as Lord Jesus recommended, in the world but not of the world. Now, that is, something that we may aspire to. We cannot physically be apart from this material world. We are not recommending that anyone should go and find a cave to live in the jungle or something like that, and remove yourself from this material world. First of all, especially in this day and age, is not possible. And who would in reality want that? Once you get in your cave and you realize there's no Wi-Fi there, then you'll want to install Wi-Fi, isn't it? And even after you've been there for a little while, happily living in your cave away from society, before you know it, a man in a suit and tie will be knocking on the entrance of your cave asking to see your land ownership papers. What gives you the permission to live in this cave? And why haven't you paid any tax on it? So this is the nature of this material world, particularly today and particularly in this Kali Yuga. If you want to live simply, you have to be very wealthy to live simply. That's the the fact of the matter, because you have to make some kind of arrangement for yourself in this material world. But that is all false. That idea of simplicity is also false. The simplicity is that we just do what's necessary to maintain our body and soul, and try to live under the direction of our Gurudev, of the Vaishnavas, and always in consciousness of Lord Krishna. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to teach us. How to live in this material world. If you want to know how to become a devotee of Lord Krishna, then look to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Look to the life and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you won't go wrong. And this verse, Taktena Kampaya Shushamikshamana, which we spoke of earlier, I can say there's an example in our own lifetime of this. Many examples, but one example that comes to my mind is the dear friend of our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. His dear friend was Mr. Sanyal. And Mr. Sanyal was a very wealthy and successful businessman in Calcutta. And then one day his business partner absconded with all of the money and left him with many debts and many things, and the police came. And seeing that there had been some fraud, they arrested Mr. Sanyal. Mr. Sanyal was under house arrest, wasn't allowed to leave his house without a police escort. And as is the law in India, if you have to have a police escort, not only do you have a police escort, you have to pay for the privilege of that police escort. So anyway, Mr. Sanyal, his family, everyone, they rejected him. He's basically alone and a pariah, you can say, on society. But every day, with his police escort, he's going to the temple to worship Lord Krishna, to do some service. And one day, after some time, the police escort, the police officer that's assigned to him, he became his friend. They're talking and everything. Then that police officer said, "Why do you come every day to worship Krishna? What has he done for you? You've lost your business, you lost your family, you're under house arrest, all of these things that have happened to you. Why does he allow that? Then, why are you bothering, wasting your time worshipping Krishna? He hasn't done anything good for you, has he?" And Mr. Sanyal said, "Oh, no, you do not understand. Whatever is happening to me, that is my own karma, my own business. Nothing to do with Krishna. That's all happening because of my own action and reaction in this material world. But I don't worship Krishna for thought of any gain. That if I worship Krishna, he'll free me from these difficulties. He'll make everything right for me. He'll give me my money back, and all of these things that were taken from me. I worship Krishna because I have love for Krishna, and I want to come every day and offer some service to him from my heart. Nothing to do with what's going on in my life. And what Krishna will do or not do, that's his business, but I don't care for that. I come to worship Krishna, to serve Krishna, because I have some love for Krishna." When Srila Govinda Maharaj heard that, he was very happy. Very happy. This is the nature of a devotee. Even in his darkest times, he is not thinking, "Oh, the environment has treated me so unfairly." Rather, he is thinking, whatever may be, let me worship Krishna, let me serve Krishna, let me try to remain in Krishna consciousness as best that I can. Because whatever happens in this material world is all fleeting. One day a king, the next day a pauper. This is not so important. As I said right at the beginning, it's very easy to say that, and especially when we're in the midst of suffering, it's very difficult for us to understand that. When after the fact we can see everything perhaps. But when we're going through something, it's very difficult, and that's where the test comes. The test of faith isn't how much we're Krishna conscious. in the good times. The test of our faith is how much we can remain in Krishna consciousness when we're in difficult times, when difficulties are coming in front of us, where tragedies are coming in front of us. If we can try to deal with those, face those in the right way, in a positive way, then nothing will be, we won't see anything as unfavorable to us. Then we will be able to understand every wave is favorable. The environment is our friend. Srila Guru Maharaj has said it, so it must be true. Then we must try to understand in which way is it true. In which way is every wave coming to help me? In which way is the environment always favorable to me? In which way is Krishna trying to teach me and bless me, to free me from this material world? We can try to meditate on that and keep our faith in Lord Krishna. Keep our faith in our Gurudev and keep our faith in the Vaishnavas. Then we will be able to leave this material world. And Srila Guru Maharaj, he says, faith is the only capital. Faith is the only currency by which we can enter into the spiritual reality. Faith is the only way. And we often think that faith is something nebulous or something abstract. But faith is the most fundamental thing. Think about it. Every single thing you do is an act of faith. Every morsel of food that you put in your mouth is an act of faith that food will nourish you, will give you the things that you desire from it. Every time you put one foot in front of the other on the road in front of you is because you have faith that earth is not going to open up and swallow you. It's going to support you. These may be things that we do unconsciously, but at the back of that, behind that, is faith. Faith is innate to the soul. So only we have to learn to place our faith in the Absolute. Place our faith at the lotus feet of the Lord. Place our faith in at the feet of Guru and Vaishnava, and we will be benefited. So anyway, this is some things that I wanted to discuss today. Maybe a little less time than normal. Please forgive me for that. I'm feeling very tired. This week has been the first week that I've been back at work, so it's very tiring in the evening times when I come home. But I wanted to, and I want to continue these Wednesday evening talks as much as possible. So I'm going to finish here this evening. I do hope that you're all well, that you're all progressing nicely in your Krishna consciousness, that you're all happy, and that on Monday you will all be able to observe the Holy Disappearance Day of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, our founder Acharya, our beloved Guru Maharaj, founder Acharya of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math and its mission and branches worldwide. Whether you're able to celebrate that at your local temple, whether you're able to celebrate that in your home with your family members, or whether you're only able to celebrate that alone, but online perhaps with the Vaishnavas that will be speaking the glories of Guru Maharaj on that day. Don't forget Srila Guru Maharaj's festival on Monday. Try and prepare something for his satisfaction. Try to utilize your time to hear his glories and meditate upon him, and try to invoke his grace upon us. With his grace, everything is possible. And this was the message and mission of our beloved Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. So we are trying to follow in their footsteps. We are trying to be humble servants of Guru and Vaishnava, humble servants of the Acharya Brinda of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and a humble servant of you all. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Hope we can join again very soon, next Wednesday. That's my talk for this evening. My obeisance to you all. Vanchakalpa Thrubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.